Before I begin, I just want to say that the following video, the perspective I'm going to give, is coming purely from the lens of someone who is a narrative art enthusiast. But I do believe for the most part, this can be applied to other art forms. Time and time again, I find myself in the position, not just as a YouTuber, but just as a nerd in my personal life, hearing someone's perspective on art, on a film, on an anime, book, whatever, and I'm just like, how could you think that? That is crazy. Like, and not so much that you're differing from my opinion, so you're wrong. It's just outrageous takes where it's so far on the other end of the spectrum, or just to me, unreasonable. And it makes me contemplate the question, how subjective is art really? Because I do believe art is subjective. I mean, there's so many films, there's so many shows, but more specifically films that I really love, or that I feel like there is a beauty in them. There's flaws, but there's a beauty in them. And I just feel like people don't give it a second thought. So I believe art is subjective. But then I've been contemplating, how subjective is it really? To what extent? Because sometimes I do believe this film, this piece of art, this whatever, is just objectively good. You don't have to love it. You don't need to think it's the best thing ever. You need to at least be able to appreciate how good it is on an objective level. And many people don't. In this modern age, we say art is subjective because art is a form of expression. So I wholeheartedly believe that art is subjective, as I said. And it's because people come at it with different perspectives because of life experiences. As we all say, two people can watch the same movie and leave feeling different things. Person A could watch it and think, wow, this film hit me on such an emotional level, and I know I'm going to be thinking about this for the weeks to come. And person B could watch it and think, wow, that was a pretty good story. The acting was pretty good, but meh. And it's just like, what? And person A could obviously be like, how could you say that? That movie changed my life, you know? But it's just different experiences, and that's okay. I don't think person B is at fault. Let me use myself as an example with my perspective on 3 Christopher Nolan films. Christopher Nolan is one of the most important filmmakers of the 21st century. And I'm sure right now someone is thinking, oh, he's so overrated. Which is my point exactly about subjectivity. Interstellar. That is a great film. I appreciate that film. I respect that film. I would even say I love that film. But I would personally say that I prefer Dunkirk and Oppenheimer over that. And I feel like maybe Oppenheimer is more acceptable, but I think Dunkirk over Interstellar is kind of controversial, and most people would disagree with me. And that's okay. I honestly can't even give you a super compelling reason of why that's wrong. I can't say like, no, Interstellar is the lesser film. It's just my personal subjectivity, my personal subjective opinion, and how I connect and how I relate and how I respect films. And I prefer those two over Interstellar. Now, what if I was to say all 3 of those films are trash? Or, even worse, Nolan hasn't made a good film since The Dark Knight. Should that opinion be respected because art is subjective? Now there's the catch. Here's where I catch myself. Because hearing an opinion like that, where you're just outright dismissing all the artistry, all the facts of how good Nolan is, he's not the best, not all his films are perfect, but he is an incredible filmmaker, and to me there is a lot of objective truth to support that. So when I hear an opinion like that, I'm immediately like, you are wrong. But at the same time, that feels like a contradiction to art is subjective. How can someone be wrong? It's just their opinion. And I think that is the point. I think that is the heart of the issue. Art is subjective. Everyone has an opinion. Opinions are subjective. But do all opinions hold the same weight? I think that's the question. I think that is the real issue. You can express your opinion. Your opinion has value. Your opinion holds a specific form of value. I just don't think all opinions are equal. Because an opinion, a perspective on a piece of art will say a lot about you. If you can't appreciate a certain level of craftsmanship, then that says a lot about you. That says that perhaps you don't even understand that a certain thing is good or a certain thing is hard to achieve. But to you, it's just, it goes right over your head, like good special effects, a good action sequence. Cinematography is like the easiest thing to appreciate. And I'm not judging someone who loves cinematography, but I'm just saying like that's one of the first things that you notice, wow, that is such a great shot. But I mean, the staging of a shot, you know, like there's just so much that goes into cinematography, to visuals, and into character, to how you deliver information. Show, don't tell. That is a big issue I have with the new Superman film. And I've got into it online. I've got into it in the comments with people who just don't get it, and that's okay. But yeah, I mean, your opinion will reflect your knowledge. It will reflect that perhaps you're not well versed in cinema. You don't really know what has been done before. Certain things could hit you like it's the most amazing thing ever, and it's kind of like, well, it's been done a million times. Or you might judge, let's just say, an action sequence. You might judge it like, I've seen tons of action. I've seen Marvel films. And it's just like, you don't understand how the way they did it was in such a nuanced way that like really tells story with action and blah blah blah. But you know, it all comes from how much you know, how versed are you. And same goes with more dramatic films, with more artsy films. You know, if you are just used to mainstream Hollywood films, if you watch a film like a Tarkovsky film or you watch an artsy A24 film, you might be like, what the heck, this movie's so weird, what are they even doing, these scenes don't even make sense. But it's because you're not equipped to receive visual storytelling or an unconventional narrative structure, you know. And it doesn't make someone better. I know this sounds like elitism, but again, it's just illustrating how people have different knowledge bases, and you could apply this to anything. It's not just art. You could apply this to literally sports, freaking architecture, like you could you know, anything. So just to use myself as an example once again, I think a perfect example is me with anime and video games, but more specifically video games, because I barely started playing games in 2020, and I've played a good amount of games at this point, but they've all been story-driven games. And that's my thing. I prefer story-driven games. I almost exclusively play that. The latest big game, the what is it? Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I gave that game a shot. It was really hyped up. YouTubers I respect were talking so highly of it, and I heard it has a good story, so I was all in. I dedicated a solid 9 hours to that game, so I gave it a shot. And I just could not get into it. I just felt, I wouldn't say I was bored, but I was frustrated by the gameplay, and I couldn't connect to the story too much. Even though I saw that there were seeds of a great story, I couldn't rationalize putting my time in the game anymore, so I stopped playing. But the hype is real for that game. If you're in the gaming world at all, you know that that game is so hyped up. And I remembered a podcast clip that I saw months ago where a guy was saying, if you play a specific genre of games only, if you only play first person shooter, you only play whatever, he's like, I'm sorry, your perspective on games don't matter. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're right. Like, I wouldn't disagree with that, because I have a very narrow perspective and very narrow experience when it comes to games. So how can I judge that game fairly? And I almost considered making a video on my experience with the game just to offer it, but ultimately I obviously didn't. And that's why I don't cover games on this channel, because I just feel like my experience, my expertise lies with film. It lies with storytelling, and gaming is much more than just storytelling. There is a whole, you know, gameplay is a real art form, and I don't know anything about that. And when it comes to anime, I've been watching anime since middle school, so that's why I do feel more comfortable to talk about anime, because I've seen a wide variety of them. But that's not my main form of intake. That's not an art form I'm passionate about. I just respect it and I love it. But I don't watch a ton of anime. I probably watch like 2 a year, 3 a year if I'm rewatching something. But you know, I would never make a video that's like top 5 shonen anime, or if you love Star Wars, you should watch these animes. Like, I would never make content like that, because I'm just like, I don't feel confident in my knowledge. I don't feel confident in my perspective on anime. Though I do feel like it matters on some level, I'm not the anime guy, and that's okay. So those are my ramblings. Just wanted to express this and to also get other people's opinions, so please let me know down below. Be respectful. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. You also don't need to take it personal. Who says I'm talking about you specifically? Right? I think often we hear a comment, we read something, and we automatically take it personal, and it's just like, why are you applying that meaning to yourself? You know, I think maybe you should think about that. But yeah, art is subjective. That's the beauty of it. Not all opinions are equal. That's okay. Some people know more. Sometimes you don't know enough. That's life. It's okay. And yeah, if you like content like this where I'm exploring topics, check out my Exploring Topics playlist. Thanks for watching.